Welcome to the Gospel Road. We're going to look at James 1 today. It says, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion, greetings. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith, with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is double-minded, a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. Let the lowly brother boast in his exaltation, and the rich in his humiliation, because like a flower of the grass he will pass away. For the sun rises with its scorching heat and withers the grass. Its flower falls, and its beauty perishes. So also will the rich man fade away in the midst of his pursuits. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each one is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Knowing this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Therefore put away all the filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word which is able to save your souls. But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in a mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away and at once and forgets what he was like. But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing. If anyone thinks he is righteous and does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his heart, this person's religion is worthless. A religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unstained from the world. James 1 is what we are looking at today. Quick to anger, slow to speak, slow to anger. Quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. So at some point I'll get it right. It might take a minute, but that's true. We need to think about that. I mean, are you quick to anger? I have some friends. Um, I know they're dealing with some big issues right now. Some anger issues, actually, because the craziest little things can set people off. It's something they need to be very careful of. But when we're dealing with people every day, because things are going to happen on a daily basis that will annoy us, irritate us, drive us crazy, but we need to be slow, be aware of what's happening around us. Of course, we see it every day as we look at the news. We see it every day as we're dealing with politics right now, because nobody wants to hear and nobody wants to speak slow. They want to jump in there and go, but this is what we think. And Yeah, it doesn't turn into a debate, it turns into a fight, which is unfortunate. And that's not what we need to be as we're looking at things every day and trying to do the best that we can and really hold on to that steadfastness. Being when you're being steadfast to deal with things, you're wanting to persevere. Again, we're dealing with this on a daily basis and running through this on a daily basis because a life is a marathon. It's not a short jaunt. We have day to day that we are dealing with. And a lot of times you are trying to figure out where it is and what it is that you're doing. And we don't really know. We don't always have a clue with that. But at the same time, are we gaining wisdom? Are we gaining knowledge? That's one of the things. That's why you should be quick to hear, because now you're listening and maybe looking at the entire picture. And by doing that, you're, again, understanding where both sides are coming from, understanding the person that is having the issue. I mean, I saw a post the other day talking about toxic management, which I know many of us deal with that a lot because what it comes down to is they just do not listen on purpose sometimes. They're not wanting to deal with any situation. They're not wanting to fix any situation, which can make it a pretty toxic workplace, a pretty toxic team that you're being on because you're not being listened to. You're not being asked any questions. You're just expected just to do. And sometimes when you're being expected to do, it gets a little overwhelming. I have someone else I've been talking to, and they've been in this job for over a year now and they do it really well. But the catch is there's others around them that are not. So they keep adding more and more to their plate to the point they've added so much to their plate. They are not getting enough time to get their own work done, but they're expected to do all these new tasks. But at the same time, no overtime. You got to do it within 40 hours. That's not always going to work. And I even said to them, I said, at this point, they're putting too much on your plate. Now they have a boss that is supposed to be meeting with them every week so they can kind of keep track, keep up on what's going on, and they're not meeting with them. Well, if they were actually taking out the time to meet and listen and figure out what was going on, they would understand that it's getting to a point that there's just way too much going on and they're not able to keep up with their regular job when they keep adding on everyone else's work that's not getting their work done, which is unfortunate. And we see that a lot in business every day. I have so many people that I've talked to that deal with that because things are not getting done because the person in charge of it, that they're I guess you could say, not responsible. They're easily distracted, especially when we are able to carry our distraction with us in our pocket. Yeah, the cell phone that's sitting at our desk, and we can end up getting on social media and get lost in that, even while we're at work, not really moving things on. It was funny. I saw a post today, a meme, and it was, as the Eagles said, we are a slave to our own device, something like that. And it's true because we can be a slave to that device that computer that's in our pocket. And at the same time, there's some that are maybe too much into it and some that aren't enough. I was dealing with someone last week because again, technology is great when it works, right? And we met for lunch. And I know for us downtown, I'm sure many cities are doing the same thing, that it's all become a touchless type of parking, no more coin, parking meters. It's now done with credit cards and maybe you could throw some cash in one of the kiosks. But they're trying to use the kiosk because they haven't downloaded the app that we have for the city. And the kiosk wasn't taking a credit card, which I know that happened to me way back when I was trying to just starting this job, my new and I learned quickly of downloading that app, so I did. Well, of course, they tried, didn't take the credit card, which yes, that means they didn't pay for parking, but then that also means they got a ticket, which can be annoying. But what is it that we're doing when we are thinking things through? Less, again, hearing, seeing and paying attention to what's happening around us and, you know, learning and understanding and gaining that wisdom and wisdom can be a simple thing. It's like, hey, I'm going to be going downtown. I know people have been talking about this app. Maybe I need to download this app because they keep saying it's going to make things so much easier when you are paying for parking, which it absolutely does. But that's just one example in life of what we're trying to figure out. It's just like when you're dealing with work every day and maybe someone's doing a job and they weren't told everything to do it or they didn't understand it, so they're only getting half the work done, so things aren't getting, again, these are the things that we deal with every day. But are you going to get angry and start screaming about it? Or maybe are you going to stop and listen and then understand why the problems are happening, understand why there is an issue. So then that way you can hopefully come up with a solution, a solution to that problem, a answer for that situation to then make it better to get things done as you're moving forward. Again, we are learning every day and we should be learning every day. And we are in a world that we are constantly learning every day now because things are changing so rapidly every day. Now we have AI, which is the big, chat that people are trying to figure out, good, bad, or indifferent. And I see two sides of that. I see some really good pieces where it can really help some small businesses to be more efficient. But at the same time, I see a downside to that where larger businesses could end up replacing jobs with that AI. We've seen the same thing with robotics and all the stuff over the years. And then that puts more people on unemployment and they can have a smaller workforce, which means, the board gets more money in their pocket. The owner can, really bring in the change for themselves. It can be frustrating. It can be annoying, but how are you going to keep pushing forward and really holding your own so you know what's happening, so you're prepared for what's going on? You're not just preparing yourself, but being even prepared to help those that are around you to help them do better and be better in things that they do, which is what we really need to focus on because things, like I said, things are changing so quickly. In some ways, again, I've always said this, I don't know that we've changed that much over, 3,000 years, 5,000 years. But I think what we're doing is we're getting there quicker. That's how the change is. The change is how quick we can see things, how quick we can do things. So now it's more open and more out there than what it used to be. A lot of times we were really kept in the dark, or it took months before, or maybe even years before we would hear about something happening, before that word got passed around. Now with internet, social media, and our computers in our pocket, we can see it almost instantaneously if we're paying attention. And that could be good and that could be bad because that can really infuriate somebody. But again, are you paying attention to see what's really going around? They always talk about looking at that big picture, and we have to look at that big picture. So that 30,000-foot view, I've heard of it that way too. We've got to pay attention because if not, we are going to get left behind. If not, we're going to continually get annoyed and get upset and just fly off the handle. And we don't want to do that. We want to be quick to listen. We want to then be slow to speak, and we want to be slow to anger. Because again, we're all trying to work together. We're all trying to get along to do the best that we can because we live in the same world together. We're not in our own little separate world, our own little separate metaverse. No, no, no. We live here together. We have those that are next to us in the office. We have neighbors when we're at home. We have those next to us when we're in a restaurant and a coffee shop. Yeah, we are in this together. We're out there on the road, driving next to somebody there. You're riding public transportation and somebody's riding next to you. You're riding your bike and there's somebody else on the bike path. Yeah. Or riding your bike on the street in your bike area, your bike lane, and there's cars that you need to be very aware of. We are not alone. We are here together, and we've got to figure out how we can do that together the best way that we can. James 1, that is what we looked at today. If you enjoyed this, be sure to share it on social media. In fact, you can pretty much find me whatever platform that you're sharing on at My Buddy Jimmy. Also, whatever platform you're listening, give us a rating too. That always helps, and I always appreciate those so much. And I know I see comments here and there that kind of come through, and that's always well appreciated as well. Check me out as well at mybuddyjimmy.com and all the other goofy things that I share and do, and just to kind of keep my own sanity sometimes, I swear. James 1, be sure to read that. How does it help you be that better person? How can you apply that to your everyday life, both professionally and personally? Right? Well, thank you for listening to The Gospel Road. Have a great day. God bless.
Spinal adjustments provided by Dr. Chad Rolfson. The Spinal Tuning Chiropractic Center is a Des Moines area low flat fee per month unlimited chiropractic care practice. When life happens, just adjust. Schedule today at spinaltuning.com.
The Jimmy Olsen Radio Network.